Now I know, the first thing you're going to ask yourself is why is Simon, that's me, wearing a shirt? And it's nice and simple. Do you not know what it was this week? It was Shane McMahon's birthday, and on this week's episode of SmackDown, we had Shane McMahon's birthday bash hosted by The Miz. So I got all decked up and ready, assuming I was getting an invite, and I got absolutely nothing. So Miz and Shane McMahon, I'll get you back. And I'll get you later on in my little show known as Ups and Downs. But it is Ups and Downs, and SmackDown finished mere hours ago, but the only way to bookend it, to put a full stop on it, is to give the good bits an up and to give the bad bits a down. My name's Simon Miller, this is WhatCulture Wrestling. Let's up those SmackDown downs. The first thing we saw on SmackDown is Becky Lynch pulling into the arena and just dumping her rental car in the middle of a parking lot. She didn't park it into any kind of a space. She just got out and walked away as if to say, somebody else will do this, and also wrestlers do that a lot. WWE then did that cool camera pan thing again when they left Becky and started to focus on some other people that happened to be off to the side. Unfortunately, it was Heavy Machinery who were hanging out with the New Day, and Heavy Machinery made some disgusting drink in a blender, and then Otis drank it. So, if anybody thought WWE was going to ruin this tag team within 2 days of them debuting on the main roster, you win the prize. Down. Becky then popped back into shot as she took a swig of this drink, because, you know, she's well-hard and all that, and then the camera shifted again to go behind the man as we saw her go through the entrance curtain. Now, not a lot happened here, but it still looked badass, and that counts for something. Up. Lynch then jumped into her promo in the ring, and it was kind of what you would expect. No one believed in her before. She'll always believe in herself, and that's why at the Royal Rumble, she will win back her Women's Championship. Give it an up. Asuka eventually popped up, which was more than fair given the fact that Lynch had been running her down for around about 5 minutes, and she only had one specific thing to say, and that was, you don't have to worry about being in Charlotte's shadow anymore, because you're officially in mine. Zing. For some reason, that then encouraged the Iconics to interrupt all this and tell us it doesn't matter what they're saying because they are going to win the Royal Rumble and then head on to main event WrestleMania. Don't think that's going to happen. We then transported ourselves back a few weeks where Charlotte decided she was going to kick both of the Iconics' ass, although this time playing the role of Charlotte was Becky Lynch and was Asuka. They had 2 matches against the 2 Iconics. It did see Becky beat Royce and Asuka beat Billie Kay, and then there was more illogical nonsense because at one point we went backstage and Lacey Evans was just watching on. So again, 2 for 2. She was having a chat on Raw, and on SmackDown she turned up to watch TV. Asuka and Becky went face to face after all of this was done, and it was okay. It didn't really raise the roof, it didn't get me overly excited, but we continue on to their big match that they'll be having a week on Sunday at the Royal Rumble. I'm not sure if this does tie into all the promo stuff I was talking about before, but I'm in a good mood. Give it an up too. AJ Styles was back on SmackDown next, and his music started playing even before Lynch and Asuka had left the ring, and I like that. It's more cool production stuff because it makes it feel more real. He wasn't interested in convention though because he went right into the crowd, and he went beyond that because he went into the concession stand where Daniel Bryan was last week. Although obviously this was a different concession stand. He took the opposite tack to the WWE champ, and he had a bunch of hot dogs and he had a bunch of popcorn, and he told the fans, you can eat and you can do whatever the hell you want, and he even started chucking some t-shirts out because he's the ultimate babyface. Daniel Bryan had clearly been stalking his challenger and he attacked, but it didn't work out because eventually AJ Styles threw him through a table. And now you got concession crap all over you, Daniel Bryan. The irony, no irony. Good angle though, and it was nice and simple, but the best bit was visually, we'd already been everywhere on this episode of SmackDown, and that's something I asked for when they talked about the new era. Don't just do backstage promo, in the ring, backstage promo, let's go around, let's see the environment, and now the WWE ecosystem feels more alive than ever. Not ever, but that has been for a while. Just a trio of bizarre skits now though. We started with the Usos, who were doing a photo shoot before a stagehand arrived and said, oh, Jimmy, here's a present for you. Jimmy Uso assumed it was going to be an early anniversary present from Naomi, And just think of that. Who on earth would wrap a gift and go, I know where I'm going to send it. I'm going to send it to the photo shoot studio where I know my husband is. That is bound to get lost. Lucky you did know me. Anyway, when it turned out to be a letter from Mandy Rose with her hotel key, Jay asked his brother, what are you going to do, Jimmy? And he shrugged his shoulders and said, well, I don't know. What do you mean, what you don't know? You're going to tell your wife and you're going to put a stop to this, especially because there's a giant camera in your face. What am I meant to take away from this? That Jimmy Uso is considering having an affair? I mean, we get to more of it later. But in this moment, I was like, so what? He's a big bad cheat? What's going on? I'd rather he didn't do that because I like him, but I assume that's the point. That's the edge we're trying to drag in here. Again, don't like it. Down. A quick shout out to Jey Uso, though, because he sold this brilliantly as he was delivering his lines, thinking it was Naomi, and then realized, uh-oh, it's Mandy Rose. The way his face turned into, well, just pure upsetness and sadness and worry. Brilliant. It then segued into Samoa Joe walking backstage, and just staring and flexing in the mirror was EC3. So not only do we have an updated version of Jesse and Fetus, we also have a 2019 iteration of the Narcissist. I know that's what I wanted from EC3. Oh no, wait, I didn't. Down. We also had a quick interview with Andrade Cien Almas, who said that despite Rey Mysterio being his hero as a kid, he will beat him later on SmackDown. And yes, it certainly does seem as if he's not called Andrade Cien Almas anymore, and WWE has shortened his name to Andrade. I saw a lot of people getting mad about that on social media earlier, but I'll be honest with you, I don't care. You can call him whatever you want. I'm just going to give him a supportive up, move that number, because it's nice that not only is he back on the show, but he's taken on people like Rey Mysterio, and this gets even better in a few minutes. Right, now, if you heard a recent episode of Talk is Jericho that did indeed have Mustafa Ali as a guest, you know how Vince McMahon sees him. He's the underdog, he's the guy that can get sympathy and empathy from the crowd, and he's always fighting from underneath. That was absolutely, well, the evidence was right here, because instead of getting Samoa Joe versus Mustafa Ali as advertised, instead Samoa Joe just kicked the absolute crap out of the former 205 Live superstar. But up. It is cool that Joe and Ali are feuding because it really is like chalk and cheese, and McMahon is right. Oh, he is very good at getting me to go, oh, please be okay. Sounded like I was ill, I'm just saying, but I want to support him. But how exactly does this end? I don't want to see Samoa Joe lose, because every time he has a program with everyone, he never wins. And Mustafa Ali, he's the new kid on the block. He needs to pick up victories too. So while this is good, and I'm intrigued how it's going to play out, I presume Ali will eliminate Samoa Joe from the Royal Rumble. I'm also a little bit worried, but we'll come back to this in a few weeks' time. Then back to Bizarro Land with these skits, because it was Sonya Deville, and she was telling Mandy Rose, Mandy, you need to watch yourself, and Rose was like, don't worry, I know what I'm doing. It's all a big plan, because I hate Naomi so much, I want to make her have a divorce, which is kind of psychotic, by the way, and to do that, I'm going to feign interest in her husband and get him into my hotel room. Then, though, we saw Rey Mysterio, who was also taking a stroll backstage, and behind a steel fence was Nikki Cross just shouting and laughing, going, do you want to play with me, Rey Mysterio? What are we doing with these debuts? It's just absolutely crazy. Both of these down. Samoa Joe then cut a promo as well, saying that he's going to win the Royal Rumble, and it was great because everything Joe does is really intense and you believe it. But honestly, as a block booking of segments that we just cut to, I felt like I was in a parallel dimension. It was then Andrade Cien Almas versus Rey Mysterio though, so forget everything that I've just said. Set your watches to go and look at this now, because I tell you, this may be hyperbole and I'm not actually thinking straight, but it could be the best SmackDown match I have seen in absolutely ages. And usually, I don't like to give out more than one golden up per wrestling week, but sometimes you gotta change the rules. So Andrade versus Rey on this episode of SmackDown, golden damn up. They just did so much stuff, and a lot of it was so ludicrous, I'm amazed they can even walk. At one point, Rey Mysterio was on Andrade's shoulders. They both tumbled over the top rope. Andrade somehow managed to land on his knees, flipped Mysterio around, and gave him a powerbomb on the outside. Are you kidding me? And that is just the tip of the iceberg as well. Even if you can't actually go and watch the whole match, track it down on YouTube, go to WWE's YouTube page, do whatever it is you have to do. I promise you're gonna enjoy this. Amazingly, we weren't playing around either, because Andrade pinned Rey Mysterio. And of course, Zelina Vega got involved. She was on the apron and wiggling around ropes to destroy the high flyer. But Andrade took advantage of that. Rey was all like, oh no, on the top rope. So Andrade got him and gave him a hammerlock DDT. 1, 2, 3. Andrade just beat Rey Mysterio. Where we go from here, I don't know, but as I said earlier, thank goodness not only have we brought Andrade back to my television screen. But right now, he is lighting the damn world up. It was the payoff of the Mandy Rose, Jimmy Uso storyline next. Yeah, I don't like it. It's not for me. What are you gonna do? Down. The idea tying into earlier was that Mandy Rose was trying to set Jimmy Uso up. So after he'd entered her hotel room and she'd flirted with him a little bit, a cameraman appeared from the bathroom. Honestly, it is the most ludicrous thing I've ever seen, probably in the history of SmackDown. He just popped up and went click, click, and ran off. And now she can use those photos to wind up Naomi. She doesn't actually want to do the sideways shuffle with one of the Usos. She just wanted fake evidence. Now, one, what the hell are you doing, Jimmy? Just ignore the invitation and you'd have been fine. But also, two, Mandy Rose, why are you explaining your entire plan in front of a camera like you're some kind of James Bond villain? I mean, there is a little twist that we'll get to in about 32 seconds. But if you hadn't have done that, Jimmy Uso could have gone, look, Naomi, this is what happened. Naomi would have gone, oh yeah, cheers, hun. Eventually, Jimmy Uso did leave, and then poof, Naomi turned up from nowhere in the hotel room. And I guess that was their plan too. They knew what was going on, and Naomi just wanted to whip Mandy Rose's ass, so why not do it in the hotel room? Rose eventually managed to run away. I don't mean to be mean, but the scrap was pretty bad. And then Naomi was angry because, you know, Mandy Rose had got away, and I guess Naomi wanted to murder her in the room or something. Jimmy Uso was there going, it's okay, we'll get her soon, and I don't want to see any more of this feud. It was then our closing segment to SmackDown. I don't like being this guy. I don't want to be an asshole, so you'll have to forgive me. But, you know, I did get dressed up, and I told you, Shane, I told you, The Miz, that you were going to pay penance for not inviting me. Shane McMahon's birthday bash. Just getting it down. The Miz was in charge of it, and there was balloons and a big sign that said happy birthday, Shane, and the A-lister had bought his new tag team partner some Jordan trainers. It was all lovely, it was all nice, and we sang Shane McMahon happy birthday. At the same time, it was a bit like, why is this the ending to SmackDown? It feels like a mini segment that should be in the middle of the show. We also learned that as a kid, Shane McMahon wanted to be a tag team champion, although back then, his first choice of partner was Andre the Giant, and then they got interrupted by the bar. Sheamus and Cesaro reminded us that there was one person missing from this party, and that was Shane's dad, Vince McMahon, tying into all the thing about, oh no, my dad hasn't been there for me. And Shane McMahon was so annoyed, he was so riled up, he was so offended by this, he put The Miz in a match against Sheamus. That's what I would do. I know about that. If I really wanted to kick someone's ass, I'd get my mate and say, you fight him instead. Miz didn't want to, as he wasn't in his wrestling gear and he was in a suit, but he eventually agreed because, you know, they're now best friends. And after Cesaro had got on the apron and McMahon had thrown him through a table and got his tracksuit covered in cake, that distracted Sheamus. So put that on your notes about things that distract people in wrestling matches. This was clothes getting covered in cake. Miz rolled Sheamus up, 1, 2, 3. The best champions tag team, whatever they're called in the world, they're victorious. Woohoo! We weren't done as The Miz got attacked post-match by Sheamus, but the man wasn't going to let that happen. And after Sheamus had been thrown in the corner, Miz held some cake in front of his face, and McMahon nailed him with the coast to coast. Or, as Corey Graves said, the coast to cake. Now, at that moment, my brain shut down. I just collapsed on the floor, and it took me a while before I was able to drag myself back up and record this little video. Coast to cake. I am probably being a little harsh, but this was just not the ending I was expecting to SmackDown 2 weeks out from the Royal Rumble. And I get it, we're trying to push this tag team match between the Bar, between McMahon and The Miz, but it didn't work for me. Just one of those things. It happens sometimes. Again, feel a bit slighted. I wasn't invited to their big party. It's just one man's feeling, just my ideas, just my thoughts thrown out here into the world of YouTube. I always appreciate you watching. Let me fall down. Why am I here? My angular body has gone nuts. Now, don't forget to let us know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown, especially that Andrade versus Rey Mysterio match. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com and read yourself some articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. And you're already here on YouTube. Go and watch some more WhatCulture wrestling videos, including ups and downs from yesterday if you're behind. Catch up on Raw. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you as always for watching me. I'll see you again soon, only a week away from when we do this all again. Remember, the new start time for all ups and downs is 2 p.m. GMT. You can go on your old Google machine and figure out what that means for your time zone. But as always, I look forward to seeing your smiling faces.